it's Drybear. In 6 days, on Wednesday next week, Stalker 2, the sequel, will be released. And I've been asked many times as we've been going over it on stream and playing the old games, why do people love Stalker so much and what makes it so unique? So today I want to talk about Stalker 2, as well as a little bit of the history of the series, the original trilogy, some of the spin-off inspirations that it's created, and also what makes Stalker so special. I even put out a poll yesterday going over Stalker and just seeing where people are. And generally I just like to, I'm a very curious person. I like to poll my audience just to see where everyone's head is at, just to kind of be, you know, see what's out there and see what people are thinking. And this one is actually one of the better polls that I've done on, are you interested in a new upcoming game? Generally, when I do these polls, the majority of the people that respond either have never heard of the game or have heard of it, but haven't really looked into it. So they're not really sure, right? So this question was, will you be playing Stalker 2? And having this high of a response for people playing yes or I will at some point is a really big response. I think Stalker is a beloved cult classic. The original was 2007, and it's had tons of spin-off games and has inspired a lot of games that you may not think are inspired by Stalker, but actually are. Now, to me, what's so cool about Stalker, the universe of Stalker and the original trilogy, even the spin-offs like the inspirations like Chornobyl, which was a love letter to the Stalker series. But I think what made Stalker as a series so special is that it was very much an atmosphere and living world. A lot of times, even with open world games, it can feel like it's a bunch of different things for you to discover that are just there for you as the player. There's a lot of games now that are very much on rails or just games that you're going along in a series. But I think what was great about Stalker, and I hope is something they capture in the new Stalker 2, is that the world felt alive. Whether or not you as the player were there, everything would be happening just as the same as it would. You would find animals that would come out that were distorted by the zone. They would find their prey, drag that prey back to a lair and run off. There were invasions of bandits attacking other towns, whether you were there or not. And a lot of times it felt like you were just a part of the ecosystem that was Stalker. And I do believe that not only did it inspire, you know, love letters like Chornobyl and the original triples of the trilogy for Stalker, but I think it also inspired games like Escape from Tarkov, where it's just very gritty, very intense, very moment to moment, and your life is hanging in the balance. On top of that, they also captured what I think is the great mystery of the zone, right? You don't really know what's going to happen. If you're not someone who has ever played a Stalker game, the zone is something that happened after a great radioactive disaster. The zone was created, and inside of it, random weird things are happening. Distortions in reality, changes in gravity, all kinds of weirdnesses are happening in the zone. It's mutating people, animals, creating monsters, and you don't really know what's going to happen. And I think even in the first few Stalker games, they captured this well. Freaky stuff was happening. You didn't really know what, like elementals were appearing, gravity was changing, people would mutate in front of you, and the whole process just felt so bizarre and chilling. Even inspiring games like Pacific Drive or the Metro series, a lot of this came from the idea that there was just this crazy distortion in the world, creating lots of variety of interactions, monsters, and things like that can create a lot of unique experiences for you. But that wasn't all that Stalker was about. A lot of it was, too, you being part of a special group of people called Stalkers, which are kind of like treasure hunters that risk the unknown to go into the zone to get artifacts and collect things. And because it was this lawless wasteland of people just hunting for value, you would have a lot of different enemies to interact with, things that would happen to you. You would gain reputation with people would turn on you, there would be raids by bandits, military would fly in and try and flush the zone to get rid of all the people that are there. You also had people that would randomly hunt you and follow you, and all of this just felt like not only were you playing like an Escape from Tarkov hardcore survival shooter, but you're also playing kind of like a Control style sci-fi bizarro world on top of collecting loot, adding attachments and things like that. You never really know what you were going to run into, and the story surrounded all of that and put it all together. And on top of that, Stalker and the original trilogy were scary and spooky, but they weren't in on Unreal Engine 5. So I think the fidelity and the graphics we're going to get with Stalker 2 is just going to make it that much more crazy. Now, you'll have to prepare yourself for the minimum specs for Stalker 2. Even the low does require a little bit more than you'd expect. The game does look fantastic, and I think takes a good advantage of everything that's available in the engine that they're using. But these are the minimum specs they put out for Stalker Stalker 2 next Wednesday, and you can use that as information on whether or not it's something that you can run. But hopefully this game comes out and runs and performs excellently. We don't have any major like PC issues or performance issues or any available issues on that, because I think the game could be really one of the better games this year. And I just confirmed that yes, it is coming to Xbox Series X and S. You will be able to play it on Xbox, but it looks like it's not having a PlayStation release initially. So on top of the fact that there's a bunch of mystery in the world, you have all these other enemies you're dealing with, monsters, distortions, and all of that. I think on top of it too is it doesn't really force anything on you. And that's one of the things that I loved about the original Stalker games is you would just be dropped into the world as an inhabitant of the world, exploring it, and the things would just happen. And it would ramp up over time, getting more and more intense, more and more interesting, but also more and more confusing as you played the game. So I sincerely hope that Stalker 2 is an option for people to either relive the experiences of the original Stalker series or any of the inspired games that came along with it, or a chance to get into Stalker in general and just jump in and explore an open world, because we don't often get open world atmospheric games like this very often. I feel like a lot of times, especially nowadays, we get games that are high budget, that focus on trying to hit certain modules of your brain and your psychology that, make sure you feel like a hero, or make sure it has crazy cinematic sequences without focusing as much on the world building and the experience of finding things on your own. I think Stalker is one of the few games that does that really well, and it looks like, from what I've seen in the trailers, that they've been able to recapture that same feeling, that same experience from the first games that put everything together all at once. And then adding the fidelity on top of it, and the fact that you just get to jump in and fight all kinds of different Stalkers, get different loot with an extension of the story in the same universe, I think is going to be a great option. Let me know down below if you're going to be playing Stalker 2, if you've played the original, or you're just someone new that's getting into the series, going to be trying the new sequel along the way. And also, let me know if you've even played other games like Chornobyl or the extensions. Obviously, Metro was big inspired by Stalker, and everything in between. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.